What's going on, everybody? My name is Brent, and welcome to another episode of the Work in Progress After Dark podcast. And I think I messed this up because it's not showing that it's recording too, but I will figure that out on another time. Anyway, no, it's recording, it's streaming, but it's not recording an audio version, and I'll sort that out later. Anyway, welcome to our weekly podcast show live on YouTube. You can catch us here every weekend. I've decided that I don't want to limit it to just Saturday because, maybe one of us is busy on Saturday. Maybe like Sunday will work better, but it'll be every weekend in the evening at night. Okay. So, all right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. I've had to go through multiple iterations of this stupid podcast title. So it's now officially Work in Progress at Night. Okay. I don't know if I've told you that yet. It's Work in Progress at Night because Work in Progress After Dark was taken. Work in Progress podcast was taken. Work in Progress was taken, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going with Work in Progress at Night. That's what it's called now. So we will always be recording at night, except for when we aren't. I know it's messed up. Inconsistency, man.
Gotta love it.
I know we gotta love it. So, but ultimately what I've decided to do is, with the exception of today, Casey and we will always sort out the plan at least 24 hours in advance, and I will post it on YouTube in the community notes. For those of you who are listening to this on podcast services, we're now on Spotify and Apple. You can find us there. And I usually will have these episodes up on Tuesdays, but now I get to do extra work with this because it shows that it's not recording.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I know. I'm super bummed out. I'm bummed out that happened because it automatically does an audio version for me. Anyways, I need to stop worrying about that. Hang on, I'm making sure that we're live on YouTube. So unprepared. We are live on YouTube. Okay, we're live somewhere at least. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so yeah, every weekend we'll be live on YouTube at night with a 24-hour advance notice on YouTube and on audio services. We will be Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. between 10 a.m. and 11. Between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Tuesdays. The following Tuesday after the live show. So in a couple of days for us here. So it's Sunday night right now. So Casey, how's it going?
Not too bad. I mean, other than the technical difficulties
I know,
of tonight.
right? I'm so bummed out. Like I should have double checked that. I'll make sure that that's the case now. But now I'll have to probably go into Premiere and pull an audio version and make sure that it sounds good. Whatever. Okay. So today we will be discussing manga in particular. So since we're going to be discussing manga, Casey, are you reading anything right now?
Am I reading anything? Unfortunately, no. I haven't been reading any mangas. I've mainly been just watching animes and catching up on those, which
Okay.
which obviously I'm going to be behind on all the mangas because a lot of the animes that just came out, like what's the one? The Wrong Way to Use Healing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like they just started getting animes, so like those just started, but I read those a while back. So it's like I'm kind of finding it funny catching up on all these things now.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see here. As for me, I'm taking a break from reading, but
Wonder why?
yeah, I know, right? So, I did start Naruto. I'm a little over a volume into that, so I'm not very far. Um, and I am going to be rereading Solo Leveling as the episodes come out, just to kind of stay kind of caught up with that. Uh,
Mhm.
ju-
I do remember that on DLC there was some discussions about like how long the volumes were and what exactly were in the volume. So
Mhm.
that would definitely be a good one to go back and reread those.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going back and rereading them. Okay, so on to the main topic of tonight. The whole so as you can see by the thumbnail, I read One Piece in 30 days. And the 30 days were so I should be clear, it's 30 days with an asterisk. Asterisks? That word. Anyway, moving on. It's 30 days with an asterisk because let me see here. What day did that occur? 20. Okay. So towards the end of December, I was doing really well. I was doing really well. And but then I got sick. So it was really like it was, and I was reading on my phone. So like because I was sick and I had a really bad headache, I couldn't stare at like the blue light for fucking 4
Right,
hours every
yeah,
day. Um,
because
it's a
that just
yeah.
kills your eyes.
So I took a week off essentially. Like it was maybe a week, maybe a little over a week. I can't remember. So I took a week off. I did absolutely no reading during that time. I did no cheating whatsoever. I did no reading. I just stopped the challenge right then and there. Um, and then I picked back up again when I was done being sick. So the dates were I started reading One Piece on Sunday, December 10th, 2023, and I finished on Friday, uh January 12th, 2024, which was day 29. So I did it in 29 days, just under the 30-day mark, which was very exciting. And uh I could have gotten it done probably a little bit quicker, but I took like a couple of days off just to kind of take a break because there were certain weekends where I just got like super far ahead that I was allowed to take a day off here and there. Otherwise, on average, I was reading about 40 chapters a day. There were some days that I read a lot more, and there were some days that I read a lot less. But uh, you know, in order to complete the challenge, I had to read at least 30. I had to read at least 40 chapters every day for 30 days, and it's a lot. One Piece is a very dense manga. I
Just
underestimated
a
it.
bit. Just a
I
bit.
I underestimated it heavily. So a little bit of backstory. I read Bleach last year and I read Bleach in roughly like 3 months, give or take. And Bleach was a relatively easy read. There were literally volumes where it was just 8 chapters of nonstop action. So I could bust a volume out in like I could bust a volume out maybe in 20 minutes, especially the especially when we get into especially when you got into like the Thousand Year Blood War stuff.
Mhm.
There would literally be just like chapters upon chapters upon chapters of just consecutive fighting with little to no dialogue. Anyway, that was not the case with One Piece. In One Piece, there is dialogue or words on roughly 85% of the pages of the entire series.
There's a lot
Like,
of words.
there is a ton of words. And so I totally underestimated it. It took me it would take me it would take me roughly 5 minutes to read a chapter, give or take, which isn't that bad. But when you have to read 30 to 40 chapters a night, it's hours of reading every night. Whereas like when I was reading Bleach, I remember reading what is it? The Rescue Rukia arc. So the first time they go to um
Soul
the
Society.
the Soul Society, I read I that was like what was that? I was like 150 chapters, that whole arc. I read that in about in about 6 hours.
Mm.
I read those 150 pages in about 6 hours, which is pretty fast. Just but there's a lot of action. There's just lots of fighting, and uh, but reading One Piece and like there's so much information. There's so much information all the time, and if you space out reading it for like if you accidentally space out reading for like a chapter, like it's like you'll come to the next chapter like, oh shit, what's going on here? Um, and you'd have to go back, and that happened to me a couple times. I had to go back to another chapter, but um, it was a lot of fun to read it. It was a ton of fun to read One Piece, and I was actually surprised at just how good it is. Like, I did not think that anything of that size could maintain a certain level of quality. Now, and I know I've been rambling and I haven't given you any time to talk yet, but like,
You're
don't get
fine.
me
You're fine.
wrong.
Keep going.
Don't get me wrong. There were definitely arcs where I was just like, this is really bad. But then we'd get to an arc that was really, really good. Like it was so there's a level of like it had a good solid up and down, right? It had a good solid up and down. And we're gonna actually be ranking the arcs in a little bit. I on my other screen here, I have a tier list with all the arcs. And we'll be kind of going through all of that. Um so yeah, it was a lot of fun. I will say, like the uh, pre time skip was super consistent in my opinion. Even there was even I mean, and we'll get to this. Like I didn't care for Skypiea, right? But like as like at so it felt out of place within the One Piece story, but as its own thing, it was, it was solid, right? It felt like I was being taken away from the bigger picture. Anyway, but so there was a certain level of quality that consisted through pre-time skip. Then we get to like the in between time skip. Well, I mean, I guess there wasn't really an in between time skip. I guess there was like maybe like 20 chapters where it's just like kind of like a little all over the place. And then post time skip was a bit wonky for me, to be honest. There was more there. It was very much more. Yeah, it was very up and down during post time skip, but not so much in storytelling. What kind of drove me nuts is it seemed like as soon as we got to what was it Marineford, as soon as we got to Marineford, uh Oda, the mangaka, he started doing something interesting, and this is just simply because I was reading it on my phone digitally. He started doing a lot of double spread pages, a ton of double spread pages. So I'd be sitting there and I'd be reading, in manga order, and then I would scroll to the next page, and all of a sudden it's a double spread, and I'd have to go back and reread the page before, and then uh, go back and forth between the pages because it was fucking double spread. And I'm cussing a lot. I shouldn't be cussing anyway. But You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Fucking double spreads.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, he started doing a lot of, and they weren't even there. How do I put it? I don't want to say that they were bad double spreads, but like they were confusing double spreads. I don't know if that's worse than bad, but like it's kind of hard to explain how like the composition of the double spreads was really bizarre. And like there would be like squares like this that would be like cut in half, like all wonky, and it's like what's going on here with this composition of like the pages. And I think that actually that slowed my reading down a lot, because there was actually a lot of times when I would go to a next page and I would just kind of move the screen a little bit just to see if it was a double page, and then I'd start reading. So like here we go. It's like, and when you're reading 40 chapters every night, every second counts before you can go to bed. Like I would think I was going to bed like around 1 o'clock every morning while reading this, and starting my chapter readings around 8 p.m. after I get off work. So uh it, it was weird, and I don't know how much of it you've read, or how often you keep up with it, Casey, but I don't know if you kind of understand what I'm talking about. Um but
I
yeah,
do know some of that. I think I had dropped off probably right after um Dressrosa.
well, it was definitely happening in Dressrosa.
Yeah.
Like it
So
was
I think
definitely it happened. It started with Marineford.
yeah.
I started really seeing it in Marineford.
Oh yeah,
Um,
so I've definitely seen it. So I've gotten a bit far into the post time skip,
uh-huh.
but I think I stopped probably around Whole Cake Island, I want to
Oh, okay.
say.
All right.
So it was like the very next arc from Dressrosa where I was just like, I can't keep up with this anymore.
That's too bad, because after Whole Cake Island is Wano, and Wano's wild.
Yeah.
Wano is a wild ride.
But
Um,
once again, I should put out there that I was reading One Piece as it was coming out, so it was a lot harder for me to. I'm not saying that as in like it's a impressive thing. I'm just saying like because it is so dense, it
yeah.
was easy for me to drop off, especially when I had to wait for like a month for the next chapter, kind of thing.
So like, well, another thing, it's as of now, I think it's at like I think what chapter dropped today. What chapter dropped today? Was that 11:9 or something? Oh no, okay. What no, what 11:04. 11:04 dropped today. And like I can't even imagine reading this in real time. Like like I'm sitting there and I'm reading. I guess a good example would be I guess a good example would be Skypiea, right? Skypiea, I think, is like 130 chapters. That's 2.5 years,
Hmm.
almost 3 years
Yep.
of of weekly chapters, and then like the people reading it. Like I can't even like imagine reading that in real time, because Skypiea drove me nuts.
Hmm.
Skypiea drove me so banana sandwich. Like like I I can't, like, it's just like all of a sudden it's like I can't even imagine. It's just sitting there. It's like, oh, Skypiea. And then like 3 years later, oh, we're finally out of this. Like, and then of course, like another good example, I guess, would be, I mean, I think it took almost 2 years for them to get out of East Blue, like for the story to really begin. You know what I mean? It took
Hmm.
like 2 years for them to finally get to the Grand Line, maybe a year and a half. Um, so yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about, because um, and that was something that I would be thinking about when I was reading Bleach as well, like because the entire R and Car series, from when they get to Hueco Mundo to the defeating of Aizen, is is like 200 chapters, maybe
Yeah.
more. So that's 4 years, give or take. That, that's 4 years, give or take, depending on the mangaka and taking time off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, it was definitely, that was a really interesting thing that I thought about when reading One Piece was, oh, here we go. Like, Wano is like 150 chapters. This is 3 years of people's time. I mean, I guess the anime just ended Wano. What was that? Like 5 months ago. Um, and apparently that's over 200 episodes, meaning that the anime was in Wano for 4 years. Um, and not to deter from the manga too much, but I've gone back and I've watched episodes of the anime, and boy, Toy is impressive with how they can take 5 pages and turn it into 2 episodes.
Oh my gosh, I hated that so much.
So
Oh.
so a good example of this was when Doflamingo was kind of like laying out his plan and being like, I've got the birdcage up. You need to go and fight these people and end them. I don't want to say the K word, because I could get in trouble for that. Um, I want you to go find these
Unalive
people.
them.
I want you to go find these people, unalive them, and like bring them to me, and then you'll be free. Like that. And then he lays out like all of their bounties, right? Like, is like, these people are worth this, these people are worth that, these people were and that was 5 pages. That was
Mhm.
about 5 pages in the manga. And then I went to go watch it in the anime, and I was like,
Well, I mean, I think
2 episodes.
all of us, I think almost everybody in the One Piece community had the same thing when it came to the episode where Joy Boy came into the picture. When Luffy changed into Joy Boy, that literally you could see that they reused the same animation again and again in one episode, where they just went back to him bouncing on the ground, and it's like, okay, he's bouncing on the ground. We
Okay,
saw
but
that.
that was cool though.
Oh, it was cool, but because of that, we didn't get the fight. And that's the whole thing, is like they kept.
You're talking about like that. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
So, and it's not only like they reuse the animation to where like you watched him bouncing on the ground, you could see the ground bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Then they pulled you away, and they showed something else that was happening away from the
Right.
fight.
Yeah.
And they go back to the fight, and they reuse like the same 5 minutes of the animation, and you're just sitting there like, what? I mean, I know I grew up with, the whole Card Captor Sakura and Power Rangers and Sailor
Mm-hmm.
Moon, where they reuse the same animations, but it's just like they only do that like once every episode. But this one is doing it multiple times. It's like, come on, guys.
Well, what I noticed, because I kind of went back and watched some of those episodes, it was just like that first episode where Gear 5 is truly introduced. But then when the fight actually gets going, it's like super impressive,
Oh,
to
it
be
was a
honest.
really good fight.
Um,
It was a really good fight. I
Super
really
impressive.
enjoyed it.
And how it was animated was really cool too. If it's like, oh,
Where,
toys
where they
finally, toys finally like getting to work.
Mhm.
Because there was sometimes when I would watch the anime, I'd be like, it really shows that they've been working on this show every week for 25 years.
Mhm.
Um,
Also,
um,
just once again going back to the Joy Boy fight,
mhm.
like the fact that they actually changed it into like a more Hanna Barbera style was actually
Yeah.
like, okay, that's impressive. That was impressive. That it was a really good fight, and it was just hilarious to watch as well.
Mhm. The anime was oh, no, the manga, um no, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I mean. Well, I know what I'm trying to say here. The anime did that fight a lot better than the manga did.
Mhm.
Um they expanded on it. They expanded on it in a great way. Not in like this, like, oh, we're gonna fight for 5 episodes and it's all gonna be the same nonsense over and over again. No, it was actually like really cool how they did it. And like because I think once he got to gear 5, um I think the fight with Kaido was over in about 4 or 5 chapters after that. Um, maybe 6. Maybe it was about a volume's worth of fighting. I can't, because there's a lot of, there was a lot of going back and forth between the fight and then the stuff that was going on inside of his hideout. Anyway, um, but like the anime, I think the anime was probably, I think the fight between Luffy and Kaido once he achieved Gear 5 was like 4 or 5 episodes.
Mhm.
And it was all really cool looking, especially when he did the whole catching lightning, which was dope. I was like, oh my god, like this is sick. But and then of course now we're at oh man, what is it called? What is this art called? What is the new art called?
I cannot tell you at all.
Egghead. The Egghead arc. The Egghead arc has been really interesting. Like the catching up, because now like we're in like the super like, oh man, we better like finalize all this lore stuff because we're in the final act saga. Anyway, but I had back to before we get started on ranking these, because I think it'll be a really good way to kind of review the series as a whole is when we get to the ranking of the arcs. But all I got to say is that I had a ton of fun reading it. I don't think I'm ever going to do a challenge like that again, because I mean, I literally did the hardest thing. I did the hardest thing. I mean, so I guess I probably could do a challenge like that again, because I did the hardest challenge first. Like I did the hardest one first, unless there's a manga out there that's longer than One Piece that I would actually like.
Well,
I'm sure that.
if that's where you're coming from, then I have a challenge for you.
Okay, what is it?
Um, well, it's Detective Conan.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard of that, but
It is a
how?
long-running manga. Like I
Okay.
believe it started before One Piece, and I think it's
Okay.
still ongoing. It's a mystery.
Is
It's a mystery manga.
isn't like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure really long too? Except
I
it's
think
been
so.
except it's split up between various Joes.
Yes, it is
Like
split up between various Joes because it's a whole family curse
e-
thing, if I remember correctly.
right. So but yeah, I mean I was considering doing some kind of challenge for Naruto, but I'm going to read that at my own pace. I should be able to get it through it pretty quickly, because I read the first volume pretty quickly. Like it seems like it'll be a lot easier of a read than One Piece. And then that way I can say that I've read all of the big 3 as opposed to watch them all. Anyway, so onto our little ranking system here. So we've got S for the best, D for the worst. I'm not going to do anything weird. All of these appear to be in relatively good order, and from start to finish. So we've got East Blue, Romance Dawn, Orange Town, Syrup Village, Baratier, Arlong Park, Rogue Town, Reverse Mountain. Um, well, no, I think Reverse Mountain is when they get to East Blue. Or no, when they get to it's anyway. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I want to put all of East Blue into S tier. East Blue, rereading East Blue, like I had watched all of East Blue before reading it, and um East Blue is super good. East Blue, like the starting off of the series was so good. Uh, um, all like it was so good. It was so good. Like I loved it all, and um, so it's like I don't even like Romance Dawn. Like Romance Dawn, the first couple of chapters, yeah, buddy. S, yeah, the story's getting started. Um, I guess like I could put Orange Town at a lower. Here's the thing: Buggy drives me insane. I know maybe that's. I'm sure that that's. I'm sure
How
that that
dare you?
I know, right? I'm sure that that's like a hot take, but Buggy drives me insane. Like there's the stuff that happens so there's stuff that happens after Wano that like where it's who is it? It's Crocodile and Hawkeye. Excuse me. It's Crocodile and Mihawk. They've accidentally been labeled as partnering up with Buggy, and Buggy is a warlord, and it almost looks like Crocodile and Mihawk are his underlings.
Mhm.
And when in fact, like it's actually Crocodile and Mihawk like running the show, and they are legitimately pissed at the idea. Like they're pissed because like it looks like they work for Buggy when Buggy is just like, don't kill me, guys, don't kill me. That's basically it. So the only reason why I would lower what is that orange? Is that what it's called? Orange Town?
Um,
I can't
yeah,
read it.
Orange Town.
The only
Orange Town.
reason why I would lower it is because Buggy drives me insane. Buggy just drives me. So we'll put it at A tier. We'll put Orange Town at A tier. Um
Okay, okay.
Syrup Village. Okay. Usopp's here. Um I think we
I
go ahead.
I
What are
do
your
have
thoughts?
something to say about Syrup Village.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a good arc. It's okay. I do like the villain of it though. The cat dude. Because he kind of does show about he
What
shows
was
that
his
yes,
name?
oh, I'm trying to remember it right now.
What was his name? It was I can't remember.
I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember him, but I remember that he was the one that you knew shit got serious with
Yeah. Oh yeah, he
because
was ready to kill some people. Oops, I said it.
mhm.
I said the word. All right.
So with that, however, I don't like the boy who cried wolf storyline with
Yeah.
Usopp. I get it. I understand why, but I don't necessarily like it. That's the only thing that would kind of drag that arc down for me.
Hmm.
Like I know why, and it's very loving and so compassionate of Usopp, but at the same time, just like, I'm kind of getting tired of this trope.
Sure. Let's put that at B tier. Let's put that at B tier. Okay.
I can do that.
Baratier. My biggest issue with Baratier is that honestly, like I know that like my biggest issue with Baratier is the dynamic between Sanji and that captain. It got annoying after a while. Baratier was the arc that actually felt like it kind of like it was just like, okay, let's get to Arlong, right? Like we're ready
Mhm.
to get to Arlong. Like, don't get me wrong, the entirety of East Blue, in my opinion, is like it's so good. Like I like if this was just like if it was just like, oh, this East Blue arc, I'd probably put the whole thing into S tier. But individually, some of them are just still kind of like eh. Um I'll put Baratier at B. I'll put Baratier at B.
I can agree
Um
with that.
Arlong Park, no question, S tier.
Mhm.
Like you get Nami's story, and then you get like you get that iconic scene, right? There's like Luffy, help me, and you got Luffy looking at her all stoic, like that. I will say that that's one thing that I started missing as the series grew on is I always loved the look that Luffy would get on his face when looking at an enemy when they were doing their freaking monologue, and Luffy would just be like, he would just kind of stare blankly at them, just kind of like, "Oh, shut up! Like, can we shut up already? Let's do like any." I don't know if you know what I'm talking about that look, but
Yeah,
um,
the whole serious. Like he's
yeah,
not being childish, he's not being goofy. He's just kind of like, "Okay, I'm
mhm.
going to mess you up now."
Yeah. It's like, can you stop talking so that way we can fight? Um,
It's like Goku when he first becomes Super Saiyan against Frieza. Like, "Oh, you're screwed now," kind of thing.
mhm. um, but yeah, Arlong Park is great. The OG Straw Hats are complete at with Arlong Park.
Mhm.
Rogue Town, okay.
Is it
We're
Rogue or is it Logue? I think it's spelled with an L.
so it okay.
Don't quote me on
Apparently,
it though.
so no, so apparently the official translation has it as, what the hell did they have it have it as? Uh
I
what
always
did
thought it
the
was I always thought it was Logue Town because isn't that when the Logia fruits were talked
let me
about?
see here. Where um okay, so the official Viz translation has it as Rogue Town. Okay,
Okay,
that's the manga translation. Um, the anime and Funimation have it as Log Town,
Log
and
Town. That's right.
it has to do with apparently how L's are. I guess like I don't know. I don't want to like miss. I don't want to say something inaccurate, but it has to do with how L's and R's are treated in Japan. I don't know. Um, but Rogue Town was like Rogue Town was interesting because it introduced Smoker, and I always kind of like the I think Smoker is one of those characters where it's like, oh yeah, he's still out there. I kind of like this dude. And he later in the series he switches, I think it's actually at, I think it what was it? It was at Punk Hazard where they like they got where like he and that other chick had their bodies switched. It was pretty funny. Um, I'll put Rogue Town. I'll put Rogue Town at A tier. I'm just kind of like Reverse Mountain. I want to say is that
That's
Laboon?
Laboon. That's
It's
Laboon,
Laboon.
man. That
Laboon.
has to go with S.
The Laboon, baby, Laboon. Yeah, I
There's no
mean,
way Laboon can go anything lower than an S rank.
amen. Whiskey Peak. Whiskey Peak was cool was because if we were kicking off the first major saga on the Grand Line,
Mhm.
and we got to see Zoro in action, like really in action. And I gotta say, I give that an S tier again. I gotta give Whiskey Peak an S tier. There's some annoying characters in there for sure, but like there was some cool stuff that happened.
Mhm.
Um, Little Garden. Oh man, I hated Little Garden. Little Garden pissed me off. I don't know why, but Little Garden is just like, this seems so pointless. This seems so pointless. Why are we here?
I do actually
Um,
remember you like constantly, like the entire time you're reading that, you're just like, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this arc. Just stop this arc. Please, can
yeah,
I
I
just
was
move
like,
on?
yeah, okay, it's going to D. Like, I did not like Little Garden. It just okay. Um, okay, Drum
Mhm.
Island, where we're introduced to um
Chopper, right?
Chopper. Yeah, we're introduced to Chopper. So I don't know. I don't think I want to put that one to S tier, even though it was good. Um,
Yeah, I will have to say, like, to me, Drum Island seemed to stretch, and not in a good way. Like, I adore Chopper. I think he's awesome.
mhm.
I do like the storylines that was in Drum Island, but it seemed like it just kept going and going and going, and just like, okay, I want to get out of this snow now.
Mhm.
So I would probably say maybe B, or maybe around B for me at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, B. We'll put Drum Island on B. I think I can agree with that. Gosh, I still have like this cough from when I was sick a month ago. Alabasta. Oh man, we're gonna run. I wonder if we're gonna run out of S tier like space because Alabasta was sick. Alabasta is going into S tier so much. It's um like Crocodile was a cool villain, and like how Luffy used like his own blood to beat
Mhm.
Crocodile was so cool. Um, I don't know, and Crocodile himself, he's a cool character, and the fact that he's kind of in and out of the story is really cool. Um,
I completely agree with you on that.
so Jaya, I can't remember what Jaya was. What was Jaya?
That's
Anyone
the
remember?
one where Robin was joined them as an archaeologist, I believe.
Oh, what was the Jaya arc? Let me remind myself. Jaya arc. Is that her backstory? Is that what is that? After the Straw Hats log post points them towards the sky, they travel towards the island of Jaya. Oh, work with Mont Blanc Cricket to determine if there is. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so these are the chapters where he's working with the descendant. I think of he's working with the descendant of that character, right? The liar guy, the descendant of the liar who
Mhm.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Okay, so because it's associated with Skypiea, it's automatically just kind of like problematic to me. Like
I
um go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole Skypiea and going into the sky, like, I'll be honest, like that's just kind of a blank in my mind. I
Yes.
know I read it, but it's just like there's nothing that, at least to me, nothing that really happened with that.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's also where we first meet Teach, maybe
Oh,
Blackbeard,
oh yes, yes, you do. Yes, that is the first time you meet Marshall. I think is it
Marshall
Marshall
D.
Teach?
Teach.
Yeah. Um, talk about someone who just becomes a huge player in the game, right?
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
I think I think it's around this time that like a majority of the warlords are introduced. Um, So Skype and so moving on to Skypea. So Skypea, Skypea's purpose, like it had a there like the backs honestly like the backstory of Skypea with that liar and I forgot what his name was, and then like that whole village and and tribe that was like the coolest part of Skypea, but the rest of it was the rest of it was just super boring. The only credence that I'll give it as being part of the grander story is the introduction of the um what are those things called? The poneglyphs, right? This is
Yeah.
like where we start seeing like the introduction of the poneglyphs. Um so but like I know it's like and I even did some reading online. I did some reading online and it seems like the there's contention around Skypiea. Like there's people who absolutely love it and see its brilliance, and there are people who just don't like it at all. It's like it's very divided, as as far as like what people think of it. And I just don't see it. I don't see the bigger picture. Um, Anel was a super boring villain. He was dummy one dimensional. He was just a terrible god who just wanted to be like the ruler of everything. And it was just like, uh so Skypiea, um, oh man, I don't know. I don't it's like I feel like it's better than D, but not good enough to be C. Um, I'll just
I'd say put it with C with Jaya.
I'll put it with C. We don't need we don't need to talk about Long Island. We don't need to do that. That was just Jesus. That was just like I was reading it and I'm like, it's like it literally went nowhere. It's just like, oh, we're on this island. We're gonna play a game and Luffy just wins. Like
Yeah,
it,
that's
there
pretty
was
much it.
there was like no there were like don't get me wrong, that's how it is with everything in One Piece, is like we're here, Luffy wins, moving on. But this was just like, what was the point of this? Like there are high stakes here. Right? Like the game, if you lose a round, you lose a crew member. But like don't get me wrong, like the whole thing was like, oh, the captain was cheating the whole time. But it was still like, if it felt like, can the stakes be better than this? Like, why not have like them actually like lose crew members for like a little bit of amount of time, right? Like, why? I don't know. Like, man. Anyway, moving on. We don't need to talk about it. Water 7, S tier.
I can agree with that.
Water
It's also
7
when we first
and
meet Frankie.
yeah. So Water 7 in Ennie's Lobby, S tier automatically. No, like those I could not, like I had to force myself to stop reading Water 7. Like, and Ennie's Lobby. I kind of grouped them together, even though they're kind of they're two separate parts to like a larger whole. But like, damn, that was some good reading. That was so much fun. Like, you got Usopp being a bitch, Luffy putting him in his place, Frankie being like, oh, I'm kind of annoying, but like I had like, like my backstory sucks. Because I got my teacher killed.
And you also have Soga King joining the crew.
That's right. They call him Sniper King in the they call him Sniper King in the manga.
I think I like Soga King better.
Yeah. But Soga must, let me see what Sniper, like, see Japanese to English. Sniper. Oh no, hang on, no, English to Japanese. Sniper. Let me see. Is there a translation? Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's the right word. Sniper. Sogaki. Sogaki. Right? So that was what was Sogaki Hey is sniper, right?
So they're literally,
it's the
so
same.
it's probably just literally translated to Sniper King.
It's kind of like Batosai, the like Hitokiri Batosai in Rurouni Kenshin. Like in the manga, it's Hitokiri Batosai. But in the anime, it's Batosai the Manslayer, and like Hitokiri is like, I believe, Manslayer, or a very, very close translation of it. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, Water 7 and Ennie's Lobby, you get Gear 2, you get Gear 3 in the span of like 20 chapters. And like um, Robin turns out to be a pretty cool character with a really like everybody's backstories are super depressing. Oh my god. Yeah, so Water 7. I love Water 7. That was honestly like if there was one arc that I had to say like one arc that I had to say that it's my favorite that isn't Wano, it would be Water 7. Water
Mhm.
7 all the way. Moving on to Thriller Bark. S tier. S tier, baby. We get Brooke. We get Brooke. On so okay. The only reason why it's an S tier is because we get Brooke. His backstory is arguably one of the best backstories in the entire series.
Yo ho
And it,
ho!
yo, and like it's really it's like well written. He's an interesting character. Um, and like I also think that the anime complements it really well.
Mhm.
From what I've seen.
And not only
But
that, but it's just it tears at your heart
yeah,
because of Laboon.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, I will say though that Moria, I think that's his name. Moria is kind of an annoying. He wasn't a very good villain. He was super obnoxious.
he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will agree on that.
Um, and yeah. So
And
uh,
you have my favorite part of One Piece ever, which is when they're going up to face Moria, the zombies start coming out of the ground, and Luffy just walks over and starts pushing one of the zombies back into the ground.
yeah.
That
Um,
that is always going to be my favorite moment in One Piece.
there was another moment in that arc where like Luffy's fighting a Cerberus, I think,
Mhm.
and like he beats the crap out of the Cerberus pretty quickly, and he's like, "Down, boy." Just but in the distance, right? It's in the background while like I think Zoro and Nami or I don't know. Zoro's talking to somebody in the foreground of the image. But that yeah, no, Thriller Bark was great, and Brooke, God bless him.
I freaking love Brook.
Okay, the first Saboti archipelago, the first time we go to Saboti, you know, this is the issue. So this is where Fishman Island is first. Well, no, Fishman Island I think was introduced just before Thriller Bark, but
Mhm.
we're still getting teased with Fishman Island at this point. Um, we're still getting teased with Fishman Island at this point, and I'm like, I think I even said I said something in one of my shorts where I was like, "Oh yeah, we're heading to Fishman Island," and someone in the comments was like, "No, you're not." um,
No, you're not.
he basically said something. He said something along the lines like, "Oh," he was basically like read. It was like readers like, "Oh, we're heading to Island," and it's like, "Oda, think again." Um, so we're getting like blue balled with Fishman Island, and this was cool. Like this was like, oh man, like here we are. We're getting into some really compelling stuff. Like Luffy loses. Like I mean, he doesn't know that. I mean, he Luffy loses, but he does not know at this time that it's to his benefit, right? Um, like it. But so it was devastating nonetheless. Watching his entire crew get like blapped to other places in
Mhm.
the world, right? Saboti Archipelago. I'm gonna put it at B tier. I'm gonna put Saboti Archipelago at B tier, simply because we're getting blue balled by Fishman Island. The celestial dragons are all super freaking annoying. Um, it was only until it took till getting to the end. It took for it to get good. It took a minute for it to really get going. Amazon Lily. Amazon Lily. We all know Amazon Lily, right? The best girl, Balboa Hancock. A tier, baby. Amazon Lily, A tier. But no,
I can agree on that.
Amazon Lily was actually really cool because this is where Amazon Lily is where I really started seeing Luffy as like the really good shonen protagonist that he is, because he's just like he's just um um he's a good guy. He's dumb, but he's a good guy. Like the entire island wants to kill him, but he's like, "Hey, look, I'm here to like I got your back. Like I'm going to cover this mark on your back that you don't want anybody to see."
Mhm.
Um
He has a
and
pure heart.
he does. Yeah.
He's a
And
he's a knucklehead with a pure heart. That's
yeah.
Luffy.
So yeah, I really liked Amazon Lily, and of course Balboa Hancock is just like she's thirsty for some Luffy. Um Anyway, Impel Down. I did not like Impel Down. Okay, but like it wasn't terrible. But like I didn't like it. It's just like it like we're off to go get Ace, right? Like, and I'm just it we I think Impel Down was like another one of those things where it's just like, oh man, this is like one of those arcs where it's just like, man, it's going to be a year-long read for people who are reading this in real time. And
Yeah, it's also just it's more of a stepping stone
yeah,
up to Marineford, in all
it
honesty.
is. No, for sure. Now, I will say, like, I believe we're introduced to Jinbei in Impel Down, which of like Jinbei's dope.
Mhm.
We all love Jinbei. Um, Impel
Yeah,
Down. I'm gonna put Impel Down at C. Um,
I can agree on that.
yeah, it's just like I don't know.
The only thing that would probably knock it up for me would be the Rocky Horror Picture Show
All
group.
right, I'll let you have. We'll put it at B. We'll put it at B. Yeah, those characters were cool. Marine Ford. Marine Ford,
Oh, oh.
fucking S tier. Marine Ford was th- that was like, oh man, it's like like although the double spread started getting weird, it was some really impressive artwork that I saw during Marine Ford.
Mhm. And then on top of that, you got the emotions with Ace dying, with
Mhm.
Whitebeard dying, with uh Blackbeard taking Whitebeard's power and shit like that. It's like, oh my goodness.
Isn't
That was just
and this is when it's announced that the One Piece like exists. Um as well. And then of course like um Shanks comes back and he's an emperor and he's like he shuts that shit down so quick. Um
mhm.
yeah, he shuts that shit down real quick. Return to Saboti. Um Everyone reuniting. It was like, yeah, I mean, I was excited to be there, but I was also like, let's go to Fishman Island already.
It was
Like,
cool. It was cool. However, the whole imposter straw hats
oh
thing,
yeah, that was annoying. Oh, what the hell
yeah,
happened right there?
and the fact that none of them could actually recognize each other, they all thought like, "Oh, you let yourself go." Mainly with Luffy, of
I
course,
know, right?
but like for the most part, it's just I didn't like the imposters at all. They
Yeah,
really annoyed me.
I think the imposters, I think like because the imposters exist, I think this has to go to B tier.
Yeah, and the fact that like the Straw Hats kept missing each other throughout the entire chapter was kind of getting a little bit grating.
Yeah. Okay, so
Fishman Island.
Fishman Island. Now, I tried to put myself into the perspective of those who had been reading it in real time every week for like their entire lives, right?
Mhm,
Um, and at this point, we've been blueballed with Fishman Island for I think roughly like 4 years at this
mhm.
point. Um and we finally go to Fishman Island and I'm reading it and I'm like this is underwhelming. this is like Fishman Island was so underwhelming. Um, it was cool, but like once it, and this is where the blue balling with Jinbei started happening. Now that was a good blue ball, like because like at the end of the day, when Jinbei finally does come, it's like yeah, that was worth the wait. But we're still being blue balled by like this really cool character. He's like, man, I really want to join you guys, but like I got issues. But and then the annoying mermaid princess. Um, yeah, it was just like,
Shirahoshi
is that what
was
her
her
name
name.
was? I don't
I
remember.
think so.
Um,
Um, but no, she. I mean, heck, yeah, her name was Shirahoshi. But even Luffy was getting annoyed by her.
I know, right? So I gotta put Fishman Island at C tier. I gotta put it there just simply because I was just like I was so underwhelmed
Mhm.
by the whole thing. Um, Punk Hazard, fucking D. I did not like Punk Hazard. Punk Hazard. Oh, I gotta say, the cool thing about Return to Sabaody, I gotta go back to this. The cool thing about Return to Sabaody was the stuff with Sabo, like the backstory with Sabo.
Mhm.
Like that was like the cool thing about like, I mean, I don't know if I want to, I don't know if I want to lump it in with like Marineford. It's kind of in between Marineford and Return to Sabaody, so I'll just kind of put it with Return to Sabaody. Like the stuff with Sabo was cool. And I have to bring that up because we're getting to Dressrosa, right? Okay, Punk Hazard. I get the whole point of Punk Hazard, but it was just like, I mean, you know, we're introduced to characters like
Law.
we're introduced to characters like Law. We're introduced to characters like his name was I think Zenmon. What was his name? Kinemon,
Mhm.
who's a Wanoan, right? And then we're also introduced to the Dragon Boy, Odin's son. Crap, why am I drawing a
Uh,
blanket?
Ki- Kinemon. Kinemon.
Kinemon. Okay.
I think that's also where Law and Buggy become emperors, don't they?
Momonosuke.
Momonosuke. There we go.
Yeah,
Ki-
Momonosuke.
or that's also where Law and Buggy became warlords.
That's
I think
right.
too.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Liam, in the chat for reminding me it was Momo. Yeah, Momonosuke,
Thank you,
who's
Liam.
like, yeah. I like all of the Wanoans, all the Wanoans, if that's what we want to call them. They're all really cool. I love like the Wano characters. Yeah, Punk Hazard just took me out of it. Like I I was so disappointed with Punk Hazard that like it was a really hard 50 chapters to get through. It was
Well,
really hard to get
it
through.
it was also a stepping stone. It's another
Yeah.
one of those arcs that it's setting up for Dressrosa and for Wano.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's setting up for Dressrosa and Wano hardcore.
Mhm.
Um and but yeah, it was yeah, but Law who's like voiced by the like who's got the velvety voice of Matt Mercer. Um uh and but no, Dressrosa. We're going into Dressrosa now, and Dressrosa just goes to S tier. I love Dressrosa. Dressrosa was so much fun. Like
Dressrosa is a great arc. Just the
Dress,
whole thing. Then you have Zoro like slicing a mountain in half. You have
uh-huh.
everybody just going freaking nuts.
You've got that one character you've got that one big giant character that sounds very feminine, right? Like
Mhm.
um Luffy's like, that's what you sound like. He's like, don't make fun of his voice. Um no, like that whole thing was cool. And like like Doflamingo is just crazy. And I love it. I love how he is nuts.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he
But
like
he is more than a couple. He is more than a couple pages shy of a full book.
oh
He's like
yeah.
literally half a book.
Like here's the thing, like Anel was one dimensional, but like, and don't get me wrong, like in a lot of respects, even Doflamingo is a bit no. Even Doflamingo can be a bit one dimensional, but the thing is, like his backstory with Law and Corazon were all made him a bit more like interesting. If he hadn't had that backstory, he would have been fairly one dimensional in being like super evil. But like I just love how he's crazy. Like if you're one dimensional but you're crazy, it like and you're well written. I don't know. It's hard for me to describe, but
He's
Doflamingo is
he's crazy, but he is logically crazy to a point. Like you can
yeah.
understand why and how he's being crazy, but at the same
Oh
time, you're
yeah.
just like, I can't necessarily disagree with him, but he's crazy.
Yeah,
He's
he's
like Thanos.
yeah, oh man. So and then I will say the one bad thing about Dressrosa is Bounce Man. I'm not a big fan of Gear 4.
You don't
Gear
like Gear
4
4?
Gear
You
4
don't
is
like
just a bit
Bouncy Boy?
goofy. Gear Gear 4 is a bit goofy. Like there's something about Gear 4 where that I was just like, nah, I don't know. Like like I think you know what did it was I think it was the anime. The because I watched some of the stuff with the anime and he's just like bounce man and I'm like, oh Jesus, like these sounds really goofy here. Um
Oh, what does he remind me of? Uh, I can't think of exactly what he reminds me of, but kind of like excuse me, I'm going Persona 5 right now. Yusuke's Persona.
oh
Like
okay.
that,
Goemon,
that
I think is
yes,
Goemon, yeah.
Goemon. And
Yeah.
it's just like that whole kind of like Japanese opera type of look kind of thing.
Um, but yeah, I'm not a big So yeah, not a big fan of Gear 4, but love the Dressrosa arc. Um, Mercury, I
And
haven't finished Thriller Bark yet, but Moira just showed up and it's so mid so far. Okay, so you've missed some of the stuff we've talked about Thriller Bark. Um, so what? Thriller Bark is mid, or One Piece as a whole is mid. Um, I could understand that there's frustration with Thriller Bark. I like Thriller Bark because I like Brooke. Brooke is one of my favorite members of the Straw Hats. He's got a great backstory, so I'm super biased, and I put Thriller Bark in S tier simply because I'm biased towards Brooke. But let me know. Okay, Liam's in Wano. Yes, Wano is great. But Mercury, let me know. Let me know. Like, what can you clarify to me? Is Thriller Bark mid? Um, or is One Piece as a whole mid? And more, Brooke hasn't been in it much yet. That's probably why. Okay, well, just kind of get through, Thriller Bark because it improves. Moria sucks. I'm agreed with you.
mhm.
I don't know how you feel about Moria, but Moria is freaking annoying. Anyway, but just I know that you've just gotten to Thriller Bark, so keep in mind that we are talking spoilers here. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining. But we are discussing spoilers. Okay, so we're now on to the zoo arc. So zoo was one of those stepping stones again, but it was actually an interesting stepping stone. It wasn't super long. Um,
Agreed.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
you get the I think they're minxes, right? Is that what they're called? Minxes? The animal people. I can't remember the animal people, which were like super cool. And then you get the elephant. You get the elephant who misses his um
his friend.
uh, what was mid, Liam? Zoo. You didn't like mid. You didn't like Zoo. I liked Zoo. I think Zoo was cool. And because we're starting to get more into we're starting to get more into like the grander lore of things with the Joy Boy stuff and with this elephant character. Um, so
I have to agree with Liam here. I did think that Zoo was a bit mid. That was also around this time where I started dropping off, so I couldn't
okay,
keep going with it. Um, I
with
do remember the
the
elephant, and I thought the elephant was cool, and the fact that he's just
uh
walking around the ocean and everything is awesome. I do remember the Polly that was on. the back of the elephant. I think that they do. Do they talk more about Joy Boy in that a little bit more,
They
or
they 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 find they find a poneglyph that references Joy Boy.
okay,
I
yeah.
think on
So
this
so
island. Yeah.
it's definitely a stepping stone. It's an interesting one,
Yeah.
but to me it was mid to me because I was just waiting and I was kind
Uh,
of getting tired of waiting
all right.
weeks
Well,
on end.
you're participating, so you're participating. So I'll put it at B, okay? I don't think this is I can't in good faith put it with the likes of Jaya, Skypiea, and Fishman Island.
I can agree with that. I can
Okay.
agree with that. Even though I say it's mid, it's
I
definitely not as bad as Skypiea.
okay. All right. So Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island. I don't want to quite like okay. Whole Cake Island had a lot of really good stuff and a lot of really bad stuff. Like Sanji's backstory and his family was really cool. You get that emotional moment where like Luffy's like, I can't have you. I can't be king of the pirates without you. Like I loved that bit. And I also really like I watched that part in the anime too. I'm like, oh my God, tears, right? Like so good. Um uh but Big Mama is effing annoying. I hated, I hated the Big Mom pirates. I hated all of them. It like except for like the one girl who kind of goes back on it. I forgot what her name was. There's so many names in the story that like it's hard for me to keep track of them all. But like the Big Mom pirates were super annoying, and Big Mom was super annoying. And the fact that she bleeds into Wano is super annoying. Um, uh, Sanji was good, and the two Gear 4 were okay. Was there two? I think there's two different versions of Gear 4, yeah, but it was Bounce Man in particular in Dressrosa that I wasn't a big fan of. I don't know. It was something about the design that didn't quite sit with me. Um, but Whole Cake Island, like ugh. And at this point, I'm just like, come on, get me to Wano. Just get me to Wano. Just get me to Wano. And like, Whole Cake Island goes to sea. Um, it was not, and it's like it's not as bad as Little Garden, Long Long, or Punk Hazard. But I did not like Whole Cake Island. And then like the Kataguri, like mochi powers. What? This is like that's one thing that I failed to like talk about at the beginning of this review is that I love how like there is literally a devil fruit for like it's just like Oda's like I want this dude to be able to like have mochi powers where like he turns everything into mochi. So there's a mochi fruit or whatever it's called. Um it is like I want this person to have what's another good one? What was another just absolutely ridiculous devil fruit? Anyone got one for me?
Oh,
Casey.
oh my gosh. Uh, Honestly, all the devil fruits are ridiculous.
They're all like super goofy. Like, no, I mean the guy who can turn himself into swords, that was cool.
mm.
Um
I mean,
uh
you also have like the wax man. Uh,
oh yeah, that one was goofy. Like, oh no, it was the ones that turned people into animals. Like when Kaku turned into a giraffe, I was just like,
oh, you're
man,
talking about the synthetic ones, right?
No.
Weren't they?
There are devil fruits that turn people into animals. They're
No,
like
there are, but I thought that the giraffe one because wasn't that part of like a group of people where
I don't
one
know.
was a giraffe, one was like a wolf or something like that,
Yeah,
or
but there's devil fruits that turn people into
oh
animals.
yeah.
There's like
Well,
legit devil fruits that turn people into animals.
obviously, I mean,
But I don't think that
Chopper is one.
Bubble Girl. Oh yeah.
Chopper
Well,
has the human fruit.
Chopper has the one that turns him into a human. The jacket fruit. What was that one?
Oh my gosh,
I
was it
forgot
really
what
a jacket fruit?
jacket fruit. Fruit awakening. What is this? Images. Uh, yeah, I think it's just he just makes jackets.
That
Um,
is very interesting.
yeah, there is, but in any case, But no, like but no, there whether they were synthetic or not, like it was like seeing like Kaku turn into a giraffe. I was just like, man, that's underwhelming. Because like Kaku was an interesting character as part of like Cypher 9, CP9. Just CP9 in general was cool. But the fact that they all turned into like zoo animals was just like, what is happening here? Um, okay, so we got off track. Whole Cake Island. It was okay. I mean, like it is C. It's C rank. It's C rank. It's not. I mean, it. Big Mama just sucks. She's annoying. Big Mama was annoying. That's all. Anyway, Wano. We're now on to Wano. Okay, Wano. Wano is Wano is S tier. I love Wano. I love everything about Wano. I know that's probably super cliche, but I love Odin's backstory. Odin's backstory was so cool. Like Odin's backstory was sick. And then like it's also super messed up because everyone is being fed. This is where everyone is being fed the smile fruit, the synthetic fruit, the bad fruit that has like a 1 in 10 chance of actually offering somebody powers. Um um and then like if it doesn't offer them powers, they're just stuck smiling. And like it's super messed up. It's super messed up because this like spoiler alert, this girl's father is killed right in front of her eyes, and she's just laughing and smiling the whole time because that's what the fruit does. The fruit like even though she's that sad and devastating, the fruit does that. It's super messed up. But like um I will say like Kaido Kaido is another villain that we were kind of blue balled with. Wano's dope because Jinbei finally joins up, right?
And
Um
you also have Joy Boy
um
in the Wano.
yeah, you also have Joy Boy, and then yeah, you get you know Liam's kind of talking about some of the stuff that goes on with Odin and his backstory and like how Goldie Roger kind of gets his thing and the like you should read Wano. You should go back and read Wano. Wano's great. Um and then you learn about Odin's backstory, how he's got like 7 pirates and they all kind of travel through time. It's cool cuz like so like Momonosuke and Kinemon, they got thrown 20 years into the future. So their recollection of the past is only about 3 months old. Um give or take. So that like oh yeah, it's been 20 years since Odin's death, but for us it's only been a few months. Um and then of course like yeah, you get Luffy going gear 5 and finding out that it's a zone type fruit. Um and it's got the essence of Joy Boy in it and 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 like they were the whole like history on that fruit is cool and how it has this way of evading the people who are looking for it for evil intentions. And yeah, Wano was cool. And of course like Egghead is missing from here, and that's because Egghead isn't completed yet. But Egghead has been good. I need to read chapter 304 to not 304, 1104. I need to read chapter 1104 tonight. Time fruit. Oh, what was that? Did she have the time fruit? I thought she just had a power to just take her forward in time. Um but I guess I need to go back and reread some of the finer details. Um, I do plan on rereading it again. Anyways, I'm kind of all over the place here. This is the tier list. This is the tier list. I that was fun, but we've been chatting for a while, so we're gonna kind of start to wrap things up. But I do want to reread it again in the future, just not so fast. You know what I mean? Um,
Be able to take your time with it.
yeah, but like people like don't get me wrong, people were like those who followed my stories were concerned that I didn't absorb everything. Yes, thank you for joining, Liam. Appreciate it. Uh, uh, some people commented and they were concerned that I wasn't absorbing everything. I absorbed everything that I felt was necessary, but I will admit that I do feel like I could have absorbed more if I hadn't been reading it in such a like quick succession, right?
Mhm.
Um so I have started my One Piece collection. I have volumes 100 through 104. Just because I wanted to read those last volumes like physically. Um uh but I do plan on buying thank goodness most of them are in box sets that make buying them super easy and cheaper. They're not cheap, but they're cheaper than buying them individually. Because I think each box set is like each box set is like $160. It does save you like 30 or $40 if you buy the box set. So and I think there's I think there's they're box up to like volume 90, I think. So I think I'm gonna start saving up to get those because I do want to reread it again in the future. Um uh yeah. So One Piece. I'm glad I did this as a podcast because I was thinking about doing a shorter long form video. Um uh I was thinking about doing this as a shorter long form video, but obviously there's a lot to talk about in something so big. Liam, and if you're listening, I'm talking to people in the chat. And if you're listening on podcast services, if you want to join us in chat, we're live every weekend. He's got volumes 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 28, 29, 30, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. Wow, those are all over the place.
I
But
think you're
good.
missing
But
a couple in the middle though.
yeah, you're missing a couple in the middle though. But um, yeah, there was a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. Not you obviously can't get it into like a 20-minute video in certain things, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun reading it. It really was fun to read One Piece. I had a lot of fun with it. And do I think that it's perfect? No. Will it go down in history as this crazy thing? Of course. Um, do I think that it's peak? I'm keeping that to myself because um who knows like I feel like any opinion on One Piece that isn't perfect I could face criticism for. Um uh
Mm, yeah.
One Piece isn't perfect, but I love it. I had so much fun reading it. I guess that's my final thought on it. One
it,
Piece
it
isn't perfect, but I absolutely loved reading it. And
it
I'm really
definitely
enjoying
earns
what's
its
happening now.
it definitely earns its title as one of the big three of shonen.
Oh, big time. Absolutely. Anyway, we have been going on for a long time here, almost an hour and a half. So we're going to go ahead and call it right here. Thank you to those who showed up in the chat. We really appreciate it. Thank you. We're live here every weekend. Usually Saturday night or Sunday night. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we will announce 24 hours in advance when we will go. Thank you for being here, Liam. Appreciate it. We will, if you want to catch us live, we'll announce it 24 hours in advance for the YouTube show. And then we will always have the audio version up on Tuesdays. So, Casey, do you have any final thoughts?
Um, I need to get back to reading One Piece. It was one of the mangas that I actually started out reading for the very first time back in high school, and now I do need to reread it. I will state that.
Well, there you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we will hopefully see you on the next one.
Be happy, humans.
Later.